You know, I have to make sure I have mail. That's important.
Hi there.
Hello.
I heard you got to play the Shivering Isles.
I did get to play Shivering Isles. I hear everybody in the office is jealous about that.
But this is huge, right?
Yeah,
This is like 30 hours.
Guys, forget what you know about downloadable content. This is totally not downloadable content. This is a real expansion pack, number one. And number two, it's not like more of... I guess like the first thing they told us was, hey, you know, we know people want more of this, and we've been doing that with downloadable content, and what we didn't want to do with an expansion pack was just make more and more and more of what we've been doing. So we're going a totally different route. That's how they came up with this whole weird mental realm of dementia and mania.
Can you go into it pretty much virgin?
The whole world scale. So, I mean, one of the things you might not like about Oblivion is that it scales, so you never have that feeling of, I'm a super badass, I can beat the crap out of that rat. But at the same time, it means that, like, you could start a new character and go right into the expansion pack. So this Daedric Prince of Madness has this event every era called the Grey March, and he's decided, you know what, screw it, I don't really want to deal with the Grey March. I don't want my world to be wiped out. He comes upon this idea that the way to stop his realm from being wiped out is to have a human champion brought into his realm that will defend the realms. It's going to defend the realms from the Grey March and the destruction of madness. By going into a realm of madness, they're no longer anchored to giant gray castles and beautiful forests and all that kind of typical fantasy stuff. They can go completely batshit because it's crazy people, right?
Yeah, and like the screenshots I've seen are all like, it's very Alice in Wonderland-y with like
really
big
alien
shrooms and and
Well, I don't know about
colorful.
Alice in Wonderland, if you're like taking American McGee's version, totally. Yeah, I mean,
Sort of alien plants and like there's some really huge, I mean, very like architectural plants. I mean, there's things that are like building sized, weird things swaying, and like the lighting's very different. Everything's like purples and oranges and much more bright. It's not just grey castles and green grass.
So you start off and you're like in this purgatory of madness purgatory. It's this goofy. There's like this goofy clerk. His name's Haskell.
Have you made up your mind? The tension is almost palpable. Fine. I'm sure my lord will be most pleased, assuming you ever manage to see him. You'll want to pass through the gates of madness. Oh, and mind the gatekeeper. He dislikes strangers to the realm. Enjoy your stay.
He's like the Chamberlain to the Daedric Lord of Madness, and he tells you that if you want to get into the realm, you're going to have to get past the gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper is this giant, grotesque... you totally nailed it. He looks like that boss from Resident Evil 4. You could go fight him. Like, at the very first, right when you walk into the town, they go up to the gate, and you watch him, like, just annihilate these 5 dudes in plate mail, which is kind of your clue. Yeah, you could fight him if you want to. You're probably get your ass kicked, but if you want to fight him, you can. And from there, you start talking to people in town, and you learn, okay, there's some other ways you could go about this.
You kill him, but isn't there a thing where you can rebuild him?
Yeah, so through a series of quests, you eventually wind up with the sorceress in her laboratory creating the next keeper, which is pretty funny. It's like it's bizarre. You're in this slaughterhouse choosing, do I want the arm of mashing and smashing with this giant cudgel, or do I want the slice and dice arm with the super sword?
Wow.
And you build your own guy, and then you do this great ritual, which is pretty spectacular. There's pretty good special effects. You know, the sky turns purple, and there's lightning flashing, and you raise him up out of this pool, and there he is, my precious.
That's pretty much nerdgasms right there. Isn't it?
You're like,
yeah.
I want to build a keeper!
I'm gonna build a monster,
Yeah.
my own monster.
You think it's going to get people back into Oblivion?
Well, I think the thing that came across to me from playing this is how well they've learned to really have the narrative tie together. Because to me, you know, I stopped playing Oblivion, and I stopped playing Oblivion for some reason. I've always stopped Elder Scroll games, which is I get into them, I get going, I get distracted by some of the cool stuff you can fool around with in the world, and that's when I run out of gas and go, oh yeah, that was storyline, you know, I don't remember. This actually pulls you into that more strongly because it's more dense, because there's
More of like a encapsulated experience.
yeah, and it's all interwoven, you know. It's like what's going on in the storyline is so tightly a part of the world that you're in, because it is the realm of madness and it's all tied together.
Did you guys see the PS3 version?
We did see the PS3
Yeah.
version.
That's a little strange because it's got the Knights of the Nine.
Right? Comes with the
And it's
Knights of the Nine.
Oblivion. But, like, no horse armor. I mean, as of now, it doesn't have horse armor. Doesn't have any of that. It doesn't have the Mihun's Razor.
We've known all along that the two consoles have different architecture, right? It's a technical limitation. And the way the PS3's memory is architected, they just don't have enough memory to load every piece of downloadable content. So now imagine you bought all that stuff, you have all that art. Because they don't have enough memory, they'd have to be doing swaps or some kind of memory tricks, and they've tried it and the performance isn't there. So they hope to have some downloadable content. It's going to be like a pick and choose sort of thing where they're going to have to select, okay, well, we want these pieces because we think those are the best pieces to go in.
And so far, horse armor hasn't made the cut. Imagine that.
I'll tell you what has made the cut is because the machines are different. They had to redo the renderer completely. And you know how, you guys, I'm sure know this really well. If you're watching the game, especially in the distance, there was always that weird, like, overlit glow effect, especially on, like, mountainsides and that kind of thing. So they solved that because as they were redoing, they don't have multiple teams at Bethesda. They have, like, one group of coders. So they're working on the engine. They're redoing the renderer for PS3. One of the guys is like, you know what, I've been working on shaders a lot now. I think I have a way that we could like make the distance textures look a whole lot better. He came up with a new shader code, fixes that. Here's the cool part, because shader is like a unified part of architecture, 360 is going to get that fixed.
They've proven now that the limitations of Oblivion, they can scale out of that. There are enough ways that they can change the game that you're not going to come, well, I'd come back and I'd play it if they did something with the weapons, or if they did something with the way the game adapts. But it sounds like they've actually changed the rules to some extent, right?
I don't think they've changed the rules because it's still the core function of...
They've just added rules. It seems like they've added
Right.
elements. I don't know.
They've
so
added to it. This is very much additive. Totally agree. You know, I've never been a big fan of the Oblivion system of everything, like we were talking about earlier, leveling alongside, because I like to feel like that sense of accomplishment. But I think in this case of an expansion pack, it really plays in their favor because, like we were talking about, you could create a character, and yeah, you could go directly there. You're probably not going to go directly there, but what you can do is get the few things out of Cyrodiil that you want, and then go directly over and play the expansion pack. You're not going to have to grind through all of Oblivion again just to go play the expansion.